He pulled his hand away slowly, almost unwillingly, like someone waking from a dream far too vivid to release. I didn't move. My breath stayed even, though the last trace of his touch still warmed my skin. The air between us felt delicate and alive, filled with something neither of us was brave enough to name. My robe slipped from one shoulder, but I let it be. I wanted that fragile stillness to hold us for just a moment longer, before the real world stepped back in. Some memories carved themselves so deeply into a person that silence becomes impossible. That's why I'm telling this story. Even now, the weight of that evening drifts somewhere inside me, not on my skin, but in the parts of myself I rarely let anyone see. It had begun as a simple act of kindness, or at least that's what I insisted on believing. But there was more in it. A quiet truth beneath the surface that neither of us dared to articulate. Before anything else, settle your mind with mine. What I'm about to share isn't really about touch. It's about the emotions underneath the intention, the trust, and the quiet unraveling that happens when someone allows themselves to be understood. The towel was already placed over him when I stepped back. The scent of eucalyptus and a soft floral note drifted gently around us, grounding the room in calm. I adjusted the towel near his shoulder and whispered, "Just breathe. I'm right here." He smiled faintly, eyes closed. He always appreciated small gestures like this, the quiet ones that asked for nothing in return. I stepped aside as she walked in, calm, collected, composed. Her hair was pulled into a neat twist, her posture graceful, her movements controlled yet gentle. She glanced at me briefly, then focused on him. Her hands rested lightly on his shoulders as she began her work, slow, steady, and intentional. It wasn't forceful. It was deliberate, comforting, and sincere. I watched the tension ease out of him little by little. Sitting quietly in the corner of the softly lit room, I felt as though I was witnessing something both familiar and foreign, like a dream I had half-forgotten. She was completely absorbed, every movement precise. He didn't see me anymore. He assumed I had stepped outside to give him space. He didn't know I was still there, watching from the shadows. Her movements were fluid, shifting her stance, adjusting her grip, pressing her palms, all of it a quiet language of care. A soft peace filled the room. He exhaled deeply, his shoulders dropping further. Then his hand twitched. Maybe accidental, maybe not, but it caught my attention instantly, a sign that his awareness was returning. She paused briefly, then said with a light, teasing softness, "I always said I had steadier hands." She spoke as though commenting to the air, not to him. He didn't open his eyes, but a small smile touched his lips. A faint line appeared between his brows, not confusion, but recognition. Something in him shifted. I leaned forward, watching him closely. His body responded not with resistance, but with a quiet curiosity. Her movements continued, just as precise, but something in the space between them had changed. A warmth had settled there. When I finally stood, she noticed first. Her eyes flicked toward me. I walked to the ottoman beside him and sat down close enough for him to sense me, but not yet close enough to see. I placed my hand gently on his arm. His breath hitched. His eyes fluttered open, not focused at first, then slowly finding mine. He didn't speak. He didn't need to. Realization dawned. I had never left. I had been here all along. She kept working, her voice low and steady, calm and steady. She murmured. The towel stayed in place. Her hands didn't falter. The silence grew thicker, layered with meaning. She looked at me again, silently asking a question. I gave a small nod. That was enough. He shifted, still unsure, trying to piece together the moment. She maintained her professional warmth, still comfortable. She asked gently, "Yes, I'm fine," he murmured. She smiled softly and continued her slow, rhythmic motions. Each movement guided him deeper into ease. I stayed where I was, my hand still resting on his arm. Something unspoken passed between USA's delicate awareness, quiet yet intense. This time, when his eyes met mine, they were clear, vulnerable, present. She paused again and met my gaze. Her voice was soft. "You sure?" "Yes," I said, calmer than I felt. "This is for him. He needs to remember how to let go." He tilted his head slightly toward me. His expression softened, not certain, but trusting. The realization wasn't about what was happening. It was about what it meant that I had seen, the weight he carried, the tiredness he had hidden even from himself. The room slipped into a peaceful silence. Her hands moved slowly, more like a reminder than a massage. A reminder that he had permission, permission to rest, to breathe, to stop holding everything together. I stayed beside him, feeling the stillness settle, not emptiness, a deep, fragile peace. Evening shadows softened across the room, dimming the light. He seemed different, more grounded, truly present for the first time in months. I brushed my hand along his forearm. He didn't pull away. His fingers shifted, then relaxed, settling lightly over mine. A small, quiet gesture, but it was enough. She finished her final sweeping motion across his shoulders and stepped back. Even the room seemed to settle with her. He opened his eyes fully, blinking against the dim light. There was no confusion, now only clarity, the kind that comes after a long internal storm. I brushed a stray strand of hair from his forehead. "Bet?" I asked. He exhaled, almost a laugh, but too tired to fully form. "Better," he whispered. I didn't realize how much I needed that. "I know," I said softly. She gathered her things quietly. Before leaving, she gave me a small, knowing smile, the kind that didn't need words. When the door closed behind her, the room felt lighter. He turned toward me, eyes heavy but peaceful. "You planned all this," he said quietly. I did. He didn't ask why, but I answered anyway. "Because you never stop. You give everything away until nothing's left for yourself. I wanted you to remember what it feels like to simply rest." He didn't speak. Instead, he reached for my hand and held it. The silence that followed said everything: understanding, release, and the quiet relief of finally being seen.